Well, good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Heather Stricker. Well, Buffalo Soldiers were an important part of the history of our armed forces. They did their jobs fighting for America at a time when the Army was very segregated. Today, a group in southern Arizona is dedicated to keeping the memory of what they accomplished alive. Here to tell us more is Floyd Gray. Floyd, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, it's such an honor to have you on, and I know I was kind of picking your brain before the show started. My husband and I just watched a movie called Glory that was kind of showed a little bit of how the Buffalo Soldiers got their start, but will you go more into the history of this amazing organization?
Well, the Buffalo Soldiers really came out of the early conflict in the Civil War. They proved themselves. Black soldiers were trained. They participated in all aspects, including combative. And in 1866, Congress reorganized the U.S. military. And at that time, organized 2 cavalry units, the 9th and 10th, and 2 infantry units, the 24th and 25th. And those historically became what we call the Buffalo Soldiers. They were initially called the United States Colored Troops. And from that point on, they were assigned, organized in New Orleans and in Louisville, Kentucky. That was the first recruiting areas. And from that point, they dispersed mostly to the western United States. So they to some extent, disproportionately represented themselves, but all of them were stationed in the West.
Okay, so what about the Southwest? Did they ever move on over to Arizona?
Oh, they definitely moved to Arizona. They started, came across Texas, but Arizona was actually the main distribution point, and that's the importance of Huachuca. Almost all the troops that took on the Southwest came through Fort Huachuca. But there are other forts. There was a fort in Nogales, in Bowie, in the Safford area. Okay, there were forts all over Arizona. Arizona was a really important state. It was a distribution point for a number of forts. So not only did the telegraph lines have to be built, forts were built and maintained, roads were built and maintained. And as well, the military payroll had to be distributed. And during some parts of the time, there was the Mexican Revolution, so there was a considerable amount of instability along the U.S.-Mexico border. And one of the flashpoints happened to be in the Arizona-New Mexico corridor. They're very famous.
Very important part of history that we're talking about today. Now, the Buffalo Soldiers are still going strong. We have a chapter right here in southern Arizona, so tell us about the chapter.
Well, we have our Greater Southern Arizona Area chapter. It's a chapter that was chartered in July of 1995, and it came out of some troopers that were stationed in Fort Huachuca, and it represents basically the older military community. And we continue to have our early recruitment involved families, actual families that were Buffalo Soldier families initially, and then it's for military affiliated. And military, anybody that wants to respect what happened back in the past and honor the history of the Buffalo Soldiers. And it's a 501c3 that's actually affiliated with the National Buffalo Soldier Organization.
Very cool. So obviously a lot of military personnel involved in the organization, but you don't necessarily have to be involved in the military?
No, you don't.
And you still have family members of the original Buffalo Soldiers involved?
We do. They're passing away, going to Fiddler's Green, but we still have, for example, the Seminole Negro Indian Scouts. We have families that originally were in that scouting organization, affiliated with the Buffalo Soldiers, that are in our chapter.
Wow, incredible.
So there's a lot of history.
Yeah, so other than keeping this amazing history alive and out there and getting people to talk about it, what else do you guys do? Do you have different activities throughout the year? Tell me about.
Well, we have a number of activities. If you start with, for example, the Black History Month, we make ourselves available to do both various talks and speeches in the schools and in community centers. We participate in the rodeo parade. We also have some long-term things going on. Like we would like to build a Buffalo Soldier Memorial, and we've been allocated a site at the Quincy Douglas Community Center. We were part of the bond initiative, but that of course didn't go through, but we're still fundraising for that. We also are involved in a museum and library initiative, and we do a scholarship fund. We have two major dinners. One's our annual dinner, and one's our Catfish and Jazz dinner.
Love it.
And during the annual dinner, we give out 2 to 3 scholarships, okay, a year. We have an application process, and people do that. We also participate in Juneteenth, so there's lots of, when we
guys stay busy.
We stay busy. When we can do it, we run field trips as well.
Awesome. Well, we're just about out of time, Floyd, but real quick, tell me, who are some of the major heroes of your organization? The major heroes, well, we have our personal heroes. Morgan Maxwell, the Maxwell family, Herman Warrior, and others. But we also have Flipper, Henry O. Flipper, was a graduate of West Point, and we also have Colonel. Can't remember his name right now. The good colonel. No, well, Floyd, this has been so great. I'm so glad you came on to tell us more of the history of the Buffalo Soldiers, and we're going to give all our viewers the information to find out more about you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to learn more about the Arizona Buffalo Soldiers, you can call 250-2116 or log on to azbuffalosoldiers.org.